What's up, guys? Got the Mustang up on the lift today, and we're going to be working on installing these super sick dual caliper brackets from Hotline Performance. Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to go over what you get with the brackets. I believe these were $340 or $360. Shipped to my door. They're super light, actually. I'm surprised. They're all like billet aluminum. They're so gorgeous, these freaking things. You can see all the milling marks there when they were machined. And they, of course, come with 4 bolts. And they're also, if you look at the holes here, they are side specific. And we're going to get into that in a second because that's basically the ABS sensor. So that's how you know which side to get. But if we look, I already kind of took this apart so I can see what I'd have to do. Looks like we're going to have to pull this axle, which means draining the diff, pulling this out after we pull the C-clip, and then replacing this back bracket with this new one. Not a whole lot of work. Kind of sucks that I have to drain the oil and then replace it. But we're going to get into it and do what we have to do. Well guys, if you're wondering what just happened, I went to crack the cover off. I was like, let me get a video, like a dramatic shot of the oil coming out of the diff, and there just wasn't any oil in the diff. And unfortunately, we're also gonna have to drop this panner bar to get this out. Not that big of a deal, but wasn't expecting on it. Anyway, yeah, there just wasn't any oil in there. Not the biggest deal. Kind of wish the previous owner would have told me, so I would have known. Like, God forbid, I never touched that, even though I plan on doing stuff to the diff. I would have been fucked. I would have ruined that thing. But let's get these C-clips out and pull the axles. Alright guys, so basically you're going to have to remove this bolt, pull this pin out. Let me get this ratchet off. If we spin this, we can see in here. Now if you look closely, in there you'll see kind of right there is the axle shaft. The groove in the axle, and there's a little C-clip, and that clip just keeps the axle from slipping out of the housing. So we're gonna have to remove the pin, and that will allow us to slide over the axle and push the clip out. So we push the axle in just like that, and you can see the clip here. We're just gonna use a magnet, and maybe it'll wanna come out. Boom. That's what actually holds the axle in. So we can put that to the side, clean up our hands, and now this axle assembly will actually just slide right out. Alright guys, so once you get to this step, you're going to want to remove the dust shield here, which first is these 3 10 mils, then these 4 bolts, they look to be 13s, to remove the bracket. So we're going to get to the dust shield now. Alright guys, so the dust shield, I actually believe that the new bracket doesn't have holes for this, so you'd have to ditch it anyway. But even if you could retain it, I would ditch it, because eventually these get dinged up and they become a real pain in the ass, especially when you're doing things like drifting. You could go off track and ding these up in grass and whatnot, so just chuck that. This is probably my favorite tool for lock nuts, the big DeWalt 1/2-inch impact. These bolts will be off in a second. These nuts are supposed to have the little retaining ring. This one got bent, which made me not able to get a good grip on it, and then it actually just flew off. That one was fucking stuck. Alright guys, so there it is. There's the piece of shit stock cast iron one. This is the ABS sensor, so you want to note this orientation, which is towards the back of the car, so that way we select the right side caliper plate, because if you get that wrong and you're running ABS, you're going to be out of luck. Obviously I'm not running ABS, so even though I can put this in, I'm not going to. There's no reason to. So one of the weird things I'm picking up on is this, like, it's like a support for the bracket. It like U-bolts on the axle. If you see, this is like a U-bolt. So that's really weird. I'm just going to see if the new bracket works with it. If not, it's coming off. Whew. Look at that bracket shine. We got it bolted on. I just ditched the U-bolt thing. I'm going to double check and ask the guy Justin about that. I don't really think it's necessary. Even the stock bracket, I mean, this is like, you know, this is like 3/4 of an inch, almost an inch thick of cast iron. There's no reason this shouldn't be able to support it. I really don't get it. Unless maybe it's just because cast iron's like brittle. I don't really know. But we got the new plate on. It says right here, JTP, made in the USA. That's really cool. If you guys don't know, Hotline Performance, who makes these, is, I think it's like owned or ran by Justin Pollack, who's a professional drifter. I probably said his last name a little wrong, but he's a professional drifter, and he drifts actually Mustangs in Pro 1, which is really cool, and it's pretty cool to buy parts from people who design them and use them. He doesn't use these on his car because his is a newer car with IRS, but I know someone who has these on their car and loves them, and it's actually really cool because it doesn't require expensive willow woods or anything like that. It's just 2 stock calipers, and you hook it up just like that. So we got to order the calipers, but we're almost there, and these things just look, I mean, so sick. So we're gonna throw the axle back in, get the C-clip on, and get this side reassembled, and then start this. All right, so I got a big box of goodies. I got some pads. I have another set of calipers for the back. I also have a box of rotors I haven't even checked out yet. And I'm gonna get this back apart and get ready to throw this on. Alright guys, so these are the rotors I got. Obviously, drilled and slotted rotors really don't make a difference. They really aren't. It's literally just for looks. Personally, I think they look cool, so I bought them. They're brake motive, I think. Just something off eBay. It was like 60 bucks for the pair. And I've actually heard some decent things about the eBay ones. So we're gonna throw these on. Obviously, nothing special there. The cool thing is though, the drilled and slotted, like I said, doesn't really make a difference. These are actually vented. I mean, most OEM brakes now are, especially bigger ones, but this is actually a vent, like a 240. The rear brakes are actually a solid disc. The fronts are vented, but the rears aren't. These are vented. And with this car, once we take some weight off, because obviously we don't have an interior, the cage does probably equal out that weight. But we have probably a slightly lighter motor, no AC equipment, all that stuff. Should be a lighter car overall, which means these stock brakes will actually be doing a hell of a job. So let's get these second set of calipers on. All right guys, so I'm looking at this and I'm just wondering if I can remove this because it's pretty close to the coilover. It's obviously not gonna hit, but we don't need it. This is actually like the stock handbrake mechanism here. So you pull this and it moves the caliper out just a little bit. I'm gonna think that we can remove this. I'm gonna take it apart and see. Hopefully we can. All right, so this part appears to like actually go in here and there's like a little rubber seal kind of thing. So I don't really want to get into this because it might cause a problem. We'll leave that. I took the spring and all that crap off. And now that I'm looking at it, this is actually the wrong one. So as you can see, the bleeder here, this is actually for the passenger side originally because this bleeder would be up. So when it's on the car, the bleeder points up and that's the high point back here. But if we put it over here, the bleeder would be pointing down. Air would get trapped. So we actually need the other one. All right, we got the other one stripped down, no bracket, ready to go on. So we're gonna load this up with pads and see how it fits. All right, so we got the correct caliper loaded up with the pads. There's a little bit of paint over the brake or the bolt hole, so just clear that out. And these are the new bolts that came with the dual caliper plate. And we're gonna place it in here. And these new bolts are an 18. The stock ones are a 15, so just so you know. Alright guys, so I just got this other caliper on. This was the biggest pain in the ass. I'm literally so over this today. The caliper, the piston had to be compressed because those pads were almost worn out. They literally had to be pushed all the way back, like an inch. And it would not go back. I took the bleeder out, I put a C-clamp on it. I was turning it. I didn't want to go get the compressor tool because it's just not close to go get one. And it literally took me over an hour to get this thing to where it needed to be, using that big ass C-clamp and then compressing it, turning it, compressing it, turning it, everything. And I finally got it. But we're going to do the other side now, which will hopefully be a lot easier. All right, we got the brake hoses in that I'm going to be using to run from the chassis to the caliper. These are really nice stainless steel braided lines with banjo bolts, and the other end has this piece here, which is 3/8/24 to run to a regular brake flare, and it's actually -3 AN, but it has an adapter, but it also looks to be a swivel end, which is pretty neat. And it comes with these tabs to weld on. I'm gonna make these bolt on, and also comes with little clips to hold the line in place through the tab. And it comes with the banjo bolt and the copper washers. Now I already installed this one for you, which you can't really see, so let me get a flashlight. I installed this one. I didn't tighten it up yet because I'm not sure where I'm gonna run it, but it does fit pretty good. The only difference is the stock ones have square heads, so the line itself doesn't turn. These don't. No big deal. Basically, I'm thinking just run it right around here. Run the hose like that, or something like that, you know, around where the stock one would go. Or we can always run it back there. But I'm gonna get underneath the car, evaluate all options, and then we're gonna mount these up. And we gotta make hard lines then from the master cylinder to a T to the soft lines. So I took this little bracket, drew a hole. Obviously not anywhere near the middle where I was supposed to. It walked a lot, but also threw a slight bend in it. I marked it up here. Oh yeah, just twice. Don't worry, I know which one to drill it at. We're gonna throw it right there. That way the line will run like that, and the slight angle gives it more clearance from hitting this e-brake mechanism. So I'm gonna drill this out. Hit it with the 1/4 inch bit first, and then we're gonna hit it with a 3/8 and throw a rib nut in it. All right, so here it is all installed. This is a little bit of a gap here between these two, and as this goes up, this is actually gonna, this loop should basically grow. These two shouldn't interfere. Now we have the bracket in here. It's actually hitting this, which is perfect. We shouldn't let it spin. This clip is just in there a little bit. I didn't fully install it, but just so you get the idea. We put a rib nut in here, and basically you just pull this guy out. The line comes out. This isn't the final installation. You always have to paint it, but for those wondering, I use M8 rib nuts, mostly because I literally have a bin full of hardware from the 220, and most of these bolts, like this is a stud, but these are all the M8, which match. So I was not putting an Allen head in here because if this got corroded and it stripped out, I'd want to kill myself. But we're gonna touch this up with some paint so it can be installed for good. All right, guys, so obviously the brake line coming into the car is gonna have to pass through the floor. And, well, basically, you can't really use a grommet for basically I'm gonna use a stock hole, which is filled with this rubber plug. Now, if I were to use a grommet of a similar size, it has a huge hole. So what I'm gonna do is something I actually just tried out. Basically, you heat up this copper line, which is super easy because it's copper, and you just punch it through with the heat, and it gets red hot in a matter of seconds. You guys see that nice cherry red glow? It also dissipates very fast because it's copper. Punch a hole in it and pick up on the gasket, pull it away. It's gonna smell like total shit for a few seconds. Just let that pass. It's gonna be rough for just, like I said, a few seconds. What you end up with is a 3/16 hole in the middle, and there's a little bit, if it would focus, there's a little bit of like just leftover thin stuff there. The line will push right through that, and I can't show you because holy shit, we're melting stuff. This end here, you can see, it fits nice and snug, which is a nice touch. So we're gonna throw this in the car and make the line. Alright, so I ran it up from the caliper, or from the master cylinder back. A nice little tie down there on the stock stud that was there, and then down through the grommet that we punched a hole in. Looks pretty decent. I mean, I'm not expecting anything crazy. That's the new shifter I had to make. More on that sometime later. We got this bracket and tab in. The line is ready to be teed into. Now all we have to do is make lines from there. Alright guys, essentially we have everything left to do to make these brake lines. So we obviously need a nice little T, so I picked this up at Napa. This way the main line comes in from the handbrake, splits off, and a bunch of tube nuts. I also got this for the reservoir, which I haven't showed you guys yet, so we'll show you at the end, and the rest of our line. So here's what we're gonna do. We get the car up in the air here. We have to basically make the line come from here. We're gonna make it come down around, follow this little ridge in the gas tank, just as my guide, and then that's where it's gonna tee into. So I'm gonna get on to flaring all these things that have to be flared. Get this guy in, and then make the lines from this to our caliper soft lines. We completed the line, runs over, down, around the tank, and then up to the T, which goes up. Bend this up just a little bit more, keep that out of the way, to there, which is our grommet. Little zip tie needs some trimming. This line from the driver's side was supposed to go over top of the e-brake cable. I fucked that up, but it still works. That one comes down. Some other cables fighting for space in here. And it goes up and boom, right to there. So now what I have to do is get this car down and then hook up the reservoir. And we should actually be able to put fluid in this and see if it works, which will be exciting because yesterday I put fluid in my clutch and pumped that up, and that actually works, which is really cool because I didn't know what size master cylinder it was. I didn't know if it was going to displace enough fluid. I expected it to, but there really is still a whole bunch of unknowns with this car, like adapting the OEM Mustang stuff to this stuff. Well, I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm going to get this on the ground and we're going to go inside. All right, guys, we're here inside the car. It's extremely cramped. Nobody ever tells you that caging your car is amazingly cool and absolutely fucking terrible to work inside. But nonetheless, we're here. So this is basically where I put the clutch reservoir on the door bar, way far away, right? This is where it has to be. So this is the line I originally bought, thinking this would work. I was gonna mount the reservoir in here, but it obviously has to be higher than this point. It would have had to been like up here. That'd be so ugly. I was hoping to tuck it in, so I couldn't do that. And I'm like, where can I put it? I was gonna put it underneath the dash, but then imagine if you have to top that off. Pulling the dash out, even though this car was made to be like, this interior was very modular, 2 screws on the dash and then probably a couple connectors and that will come off. It's really not convenient at all. So I made this neat little bracket that mounts this nice reservoir I got off eBay, which is actually so nice. I got it for half off, only 35 bucks, supposed to be 70. And it is such a nice reservoir, and it's a dash 3AN on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I might have to relocate it to up here. This is just more inconspicuous down there. I'm gonna run the line from here down and over, around, and right to there. And the fluid will just work like normal, and this will be tucked away and not in my elbow. All right, guys, so we just got the calipers all bled up. Finished them up last night, and it actually came out, you know, pretty good. So we only had a couple leaks. This wheel was leaking onto the soft line, snugged it up, done deal. Then I also had a problem with the T leaking in 2 different fittings, slow drips. Tighten them up. Sometimes you just don't have them snug enough the first round, so you gotta give them a little extra. So here it is. I'm gonna show you guys. Basically, I had to move this up here because I was having trouble with air, so this way it's definitely the highest point. I'm gonna move it back down to here. Got our lines all good, and now as you can see, right up to there is just slack in the handbrake, but that's all, that right there, that's not bolted down, but that's all nice and hard. So we won't know for sure until we get this car running and driving if it's actually fixed or, you know, bled right, because we're just not gonna tell if it stops it. I can tell it's moving them, so it should be good, but it may need a little more bleeding. For now though, we're leak free, which is awesome. I always have that like anxiety when I make brake lines. But that's it, guys. So we're all done with that. The next major process on this car really is just the wiring, and I ordered some bits to get the ball rolling on that. So this car should be running in a couple weeks, which I'm really excited about. And also nervous to do the wiring. It's kind of never done before, but we also got these babies in, some new wheels. You guys will have to wait to see them on their car. And some meat from Achilles. And I mean, yeah, we're really getting there, guys. Got the throttle cable hooked up. Got to hook up the hood latch, but this shouldn't be coming out anymore. Got the throttle cable made. It's a custom one. The end broke. Brand new thing. The end broke off, so I had to order a new one. That'll be going back together, and the brake lines are made. I'm really scared to test them because once again, I'm just anxious if they leak. So we're gonna get those bled soon. And this car is so close to running. All I have to do is the wiring. I have pretty much everything figured out, and most of the stuff I need to do the wiring, minus some connect. That's it, guys. So I will see you guys next time when we're working on something else. And yeah, enjoy.